Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of One Pod Life. This week I'm speaking to Ryan Harmer, who started playing golf at the age of 8, and by the age of 16 he was playing off scratch. He topped off his amateur career by representing his county, Hampshire, and helped them to the county finals win back in 2017. He went on to turn pro in 2018 and then also qualified for the final stage of Open qualifying in 2019. We talk about his golfing career to date and where he is at the moment with his game, and we also dive into how hard it is to raise funds to play professional golf and what Ryan is doing to raise the funds needed to play. I hope you guys enjoy this episode with Ryan, and if you do, don't forget to share it with your friends. Head over to Instagram, share it there as well through stories, and also while you're there, you might as well give me a follow as well at One Putt Life. Please guys, enjoy this episode. Hey Ryan, and welcome to One Pod Life. How are you, my friend?
I'm all good, thanks. How are you doing? Thanks for inviting me on.
You're welcome. Looking forward to hearing your story and where you've come from and where you're going to. So, no, thanks for coming on as well.
No problem at all. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Good stuff. So let's start from the beginning, as we always do. When was the first time you picked up a golf club, and why?
Oh, no, yeah. That would have been when I was 8 years old. So, yeah, coming up to 20 years ago now. Basically, my dad, he still is, but he's a greenkeeper at Freshwater Bay Golf Club, where I grew up on the Isle of Wight.
Okay.
And we used to. He took me up sort of in the evenings in the summer. To play a few holes with him, and yeah, it just kind of went from there. Really, it was golf and football, my two primary sports when I was young.
Yep.
And to be fair, from a very early age, football was sort of my biggest love, and I enjoyed that most. And golf was a little bit sort of on the side, so it wasn't kind of too serious, but. We had at Freshwater, we had a good kind of bunch of other juniors as well that were kind of like similar age. So very quickly, we sort of all became friends and started to play together, practice together, go to kind of group lessons with the pro. So yeah, everything just kind of snowballed from that really. So yeah, they were good times, actually.
Good stuff. Did your dad, or does he still play golf as well, or?
He still does. Yeah. He's not by any means a serious golfer as such, but yeah, he plays maybe once or twice every couple of weeks. He still works at the golf club now, so okay. I think he doesn't always get that inspired to play when he's there working all day. Yeah. So I think he kind of prefers to maybe play elsewhere or not play at all. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
No, good stuff. Yeah. So at AJ, like I said, you had a good group of mates and people that were down and juniors that were down at Freshwater Bay. What sort of stuff were you guys getting up to then on a regular basis? I know you said football was your sort of main sport, and then you went into golf. What reason did you switch from football to golf? I guess is the best way to describe where I'm getting to.
I'd say it was kind of like a gradual transition. So I think as I started to get a bit older, I started to kind of fall in love with golf a bit more, and I actually just enjoyed kind of the solo element to it, in the fact that how you performed was on you. You weren't particularly relying on other teammates like in football. And so I started to get quite frustrated at football in a sense where maybe teammates weren't quite taking it as serious. I'm very competitive and I'm very kind of sort of single-minded. So when I'm focusing on something, I'm very much driven towards that. So I'm not the one to kind of like half-heartedly do the activity. I'm kind of all or nothing. So I think as I got older, I started to improve golf quite quickly. Got into kind of the Hampshire junior setup as well, and that was good. And that started to really just sort of help me develop as a younger golfer. And then, as I said, it was kind of a gradual transition from football over to golf. And by the time I got to 16, I sort of decided to focus solely on golf and give up football.
Mm-hmm. That sounds good. So at the age of 16, did you know then that this was the sport you wanted to try and turn into a professional, or was it still you just wanted to focus on it because you liked it?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of quickly came around, I think, around about 15, 16 years of age that I wanted to be like a professional golfer on the tour. I got down to scratch by the end of when I was 16. Okay. So I always felt like that, I was progressing nicely, and started to really kind of gain momentum playing in some kind of Hampshire junior opens and things. I managed to win a couple of those. Everything was kind of moving along kind of step by step in a good direction. And then, as I say, when I got to 16, that was really the time that I thought, I just loved golf and just wanted to pursue it.
Okay. So at that age, obviously, with your dad being a greenkeeper at Freshwater, and obviously he plays golf himself. What was your parents' feelings at that time, age 16? You're turning around and saying, "Look, I want to be a professional golfer." What was their thoughts and their first initial like, okay, well, what are we going to do then?
Well, I mean, they were very much supportive in that. They always kind of drove me to the events and stuff that I needed to. So they were great in that sense, but we weren't exactly a wealthy family, so everything was always at a cost and kind of limited with what I could do. So their kind of sort of mindset was that I would have to kind of work as well to earn the money to play kind of thing and pay my way. Despite having to do that, as I said, they were still very much there in terms of like taking me to the events when I needed to and things like that. But living on the Isle of Wight at the time was always a bit of a kind of restriction because you have to get the ferry across to the mainland where most obviously the events are. So that in itself is an added cost as opposed to kind of kids that lived on the mainland as such, and then they could just drive to wherever the events are without having to worry about the ferry cost.
All the timings to get back on the ferry, I guess.
Yeah, all the timings as well, which is always a killer when. Yeah.
So moving on from there, I noticed that you obviously played for Hampshire, like you mentioned it. You played for the junior setup, and I guess you then moved into the sort of more adult county level as well. And then back in 2017, you won the county final. So with them. What was the transition like going from sort of playing junior 16, deciding that you were like, okay, now I want to play professional golf, moving into that, I guess, more adult scene of golf in county? What was that feeling like in that sort of experience?
Yeah, it was really good actually, because as I say, I think there was kind of a core group of us that from kind of a young age, I guess from around 12, 13 in the Hampshire juniors, we all kind of progressed through together. A couple kind of dropped out and stuff, and as you do, but there was probably 3 or 4 of us that progressed all the way through from the Hampshire juniors set up. And a couple actually lived on the Isle of Wight as well. So we all became pretty good friends and sort of travelled together and stuff. And yeah, as I say, we kind of went all the way through from like into the under 18s, into the Colts team, and then into the men's team. But it was, I remember sort of in the under 18s team, I was captain for I think my last year as a junior. And we played in the boys county finals. That was that was a really good experience. And actually, ironically, playing against kind of the same players that you play against now in pro level, like
Okay.
there's quite a few that you kind of all grown up at the same sort of time and progressed kind of at a similar pace. So yeah, that's quite cool actually in that sense. But no, it was it was good. It was really good, and I think the progression wasn't necessarily fast, but it wasn't slow. So it kind of happened at a good speed, and I think that was what was quite good about it. You kind of gradually got yourself into like coming out of under 18s, you got into the Colts team, so you're playing against maybe slightly older players that maybe just come back from America or something on a scholarship, and then obviously you transition that into men's teams. So yeah, I'd say it was good.
Just picking on something you said a minute ago about being, when you played football, you hate the fact that you obviously had to rely on teammates, but then obviously in golf you played by yourself. But then obviously once you got to sort of Hampshire county golf level with the team, you're back in that team element. So how did you cope with that, knowing that yes, okay, you're going out to win your game, but the guys you're playing with might not win as well? It was just a thought process I was just going through then.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, I don't know, probably you could probably say at that level, in the county level, everyone that's there wants to be there. I think that's the main thing. Like, we're all there to obviously enjoy it and stuff, but we also want to do well, and we're representing the county, so you still have to be kind of serious and on your game. And you know, I don't have any problem with anyone that has like a bad day, for example, or things like that. It's just more like the mindset of not kind of caring as such, or not trying their best. I think that's when I get the most frustrated, and that definitely happened in football. So, you know, obviously everyone's at maybe a slightly different ability level, which, like I say, not a problem. I don't have any issues with that in the team element. It's just the fact that if you're not there putting in the effort and the commitment, then that's when I probably would get most frustrated at.
No, I knew that'd be your answer, but I just wanted to see if that came out of your mouth or not.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Now, if my maths are correct, and maths has never been a strong point in my career, from the moment you picked up a golf club to the moment that you turned pro, it was a stage of 15 years. Is that right?
I've never actually counted that, but
I just want to work out. You said you picked up a club when you was 8, which was 20 years ago. That's 2003, and you turned pro in 2018. So that's 15 years.
Yeah, no, that would be right.
There we go.
Yeah,
I got my maths right. There we go. So, coming out of the sort of junior stuff, then, what was you doing prior to turning pro that sort of give you that sort of extra, I don't know, level of competitiveness or level of the game that then allowed you to have that decision to turn pro? And also, what was the catalyst that then you realised, right, now's the time to turn pro?
There wasn't. I wouldn't say there's anything specific that I thought, right, I'm going to turn pro. It was more, I just kind of threw myself into it, in terms of, I went to Europro Q school as an amateur. Mm-hmm. Just felt like, in terms of like amateur golf at the time, like I was a decent amateur. I wasn't in the national team or anything like that, so there wasn't really, I don't think, that much for me to play for. And I felt like I wanted to just get a taste of like professional golf, see what it's like, see where I would stand, and that's why I went to Europro Q school. And ultimately I'd done quite well and got through the first stage, ironically, at Mannings Heath, which is where I am now.
Yeah.
I was still living on the Isle of Wight at the time. And that was like the most local one to me, so that's why I went there. But yeah, I mean, when I did that, I got through the first stage and then got into final stage of Q School and played decent, and I got not a full category on Europro, but I got kind of just underneath a full category, so I wanted to probably enter maybe half to three quarters of the tournaments on Europro, and that's when I thought, I might as well just kind of turn pro, and felt like I know it's going to be quite a big step, but I felt like what I would learn by doing that would be more beneficial than still kind of playing in the amateur stuff. Because I played a lot of national amateur events, like the English amateur and stuff like that, but I just felt like maybe that wasn't really, because obviously I had the sort of vision of turning pro and progressing. I didn't really feel like I needed to spend that much time doing it as an amateur.
Yeah.
People may disagree with that, but yeah, I think by going into pro game, there's obviously differences to the amateur stuff, and I felt like that's where I learned the most.
No, we've spoken before, and I totally agree with what you're saying there. When it comes to, I think unless if you realistically got a chance of playing in the England team and then get into like the Walker Cup and stuff like that, from what I've seen at that level of amateur, you might as well just go put yourself in the deep end, like you said you did, and just go test yourself on that stage. Like I said, play as an amateur, and then see how you get on, and then move through the ranks that way. You're gonna learn pretty quick at that level what you need to be doing and what you don't need to be doing. I mean, I've only played 4 tournaments. I already know as an amateur, I know how much I've got to improve or stop doing certain things. And I'm a big advocate of that. When you went to the Q School, did you have any expectations that you'd get through to final stage and then be given that sort of tour card?
I didn't, to be honest. No, I just kind of went there with the mindset of just kind of do my best and see what happens, and I think that actually helped me play quite well. So yeah, it was a case of just getting a feel for it, go and do what I know that I can do with my game, and as I said, just see what happens. And ultimately, I managed to get a decent amount of progress there and a category on Europro at the time.
And I'm guessing by getting that category on Europro and accepting it, that kind of made you turn pro, I guess. Is that right?
Yeah. I felt like with that opportunity, it was a no-brainer really to turn pro and just go for it, really. Because obviously Q School is at that time a certain level on Europro. It's not quite best players, because obviously the best players are exempt from Q School, so you're kind of like the next kind of half level or level down from the best players on Europro at Q School. So seeing that and then going to a main Europro event and seeing that level, that was cool.
Yeah. So what was so in that first tournament that you played up? I did look at your stats on Europro earlier, but I've completely forgotten what your first tournament was. But what was, again, like from a turning from amateur to pro in the space of not very long by doing the Q School, you're now teeing it up in the Europro first event as a professional. I mean, what was that experience like? And can you recall anything that sort of happened or stood out to you that made you A, pinch yourself, I guess, and then B, realize, right, okay, now we're here. This is big league stuff.
Yeah, it was. I remember it still to this day. It was at Harleyford Golf Club, which is like Marlow way.
Yep.
And I had my friend caddy for me as well, which was good. But I was just sort of there, kind of really just almost looking at everyone else, like watching what they're doing, and not really focusing on myself. And I'd say that kind of first year, especially, I was that's what I learned the most. Really, was just not kind of worry about the other players, just focus on what you do. So yeah, that first event, I was like, yeah, kind of like, oh my god, we're in a pro event. I didn't necessarily feel overly nervous about it, but it was just more a case of like, oh, like what's he doing? He's doing this. What's he doing? He's doing that, sort of thing. And I kind of had all these things that I was thinking about rather than just doing my own sort of job. And yeah, I mean, I didn't play great in that first event. I think I missed the cut for sure. I think I shot about 7 over, 2 over or something, or 3 over. And was like way off the cut. I think the cut was around level or 2 under.
Okay.
But yeah, that was definitely the biggest kind of eye opener. And as I played a few more events, I managed to make the cut. My first cut I made was at Camberwell Park, I think, which was like my 3rd or 4th event that season, and finished, I think, around 20th overall in the end. So that gave me a really good sort of confidence boost to say, you know, I can somewhat compete at that level when my game is on. I just need to focus on what I'm doing and then not worry as such about all the other players.
And with that 20th finish, was you in the money list then as well? So would that have been your first pro?
Yeah. So that would. So whenever you make the cut on the Europro event, you automatically win prize money. So yeah, I think I won like £600 or £700.
Okay.
So it was nice amount at the time. Like, see my first kind of pro paycheck. So yeah, that was cool. But then I think after that, I didn't make another cut for the rest of the season. So I can't remember. I don't know. Maybe I might have made one other, but I don't think. Yeah, it was definitely only one other after that. So yeah, it was just a case of really getting my kind of foot in and sort of just that whole experience of the kind of tour life, like traveling away, practice rounds, tournament rounds, how you adjust each day, sort of thing. So yeah, that was quite a pivotal season, I think, 2018.
Yeah, definitely. It was tied 19th actually that you finished, and you also, that's right. You also made the cut at the you tied 100. Did you make the cut then? Oh, it was a 2-day tournament. That's why. So no, doesn't make it. That was at Manning's Heath, the Nokia Masters. God, there's a blast from the past.
Yeah,
Nokia.
that was. I remember that was reduced to two rounds because we had loads of rain, I think, on the day.
Yeah, that's a blast from the past, Nokia, isn't it?
I know.
So going into 2019, you had to then go back to Q School, I guess, because you didn't quite finish high enough in the money list. So you went to the Caversham. You got through stage 1, I believe. Then you went to final Q School at Thrillford Heath Blue course, where you tied 30th. So then, did that give you a more established card on the Europro?
Yeah, so that gave me full playing rights on Europro. So that was good because I felt like I made kind of the progress from 2018 and getting a full card in 2019. So that was really good step at that time. Definitely.
Well, Thrillford Heath Blue course seems to be one that you like, because you then went on in August. You went on to finish second.
That's right.
And I believe let me just double check. That was your highest finished on Europro while it was running. So that week, those three rounds of golf, what was it that really sort of cemented you in that position and sort of gave you? Is there anything again that stuck out that it was different to what you normally play, or was it just your game clicking at the right time? Yeah,
it's kind of, because I've thought about this a lot as well. To be honest, everything just kind of fell into place where I kind of felt really in control of what I was doing, felt calm in the kind of pressure moments,
Mhm.
and just the whole game just really came together for that week. And it was such an awesome week, and to this day probably still hit my best ever shot.
Oh, okay. What was that?
Which was on the 17th, which is par five. I hit 3 wood off the tee because it kind of pinches in with the bunkers. And then I hit 3 wood again down to the green. I think it was about 270 odd to the pin, and it was just an all-down 3 wood. And I remember just hitting it absolutely perfectly, and it kind of kicked down there. Couldn't really see the green that well because it was kind of protected by some humps, but it kind of kicked down there, and then when I got up to the green, it was literally a foot away for a tapping eagle.
Wow, it's not bad.
So that was also on Sky Sports, and I've watched that quite a few times.
Love it.
So that was a really cool moment, and then to finish second, then I shot 5 under second day, last day, sorry, to do that. So I felt like I was quite unlucky not to win, but it was that was a really, really good week, and obviously gave me a lot of opportunity from that as well.
I guess a lot of confidence as well going after that as well, I imagine.
And of course, and confidence as well. I think because after that event, I didn't miss a cut for the rest of the season.
Do you want me to check?
You can probably double check that, but I'm pretty certain. I made more events I had left.
You did make every cut after that, so I'll give you that one.
Thanks, mate.
No, that's right, no worries. You also managed to, in the same year, you managed to qualify, go through to the final stage of open qualifying.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, again, not many people can say they've got that far, as it's quite a limited field, obviously from across the country. So, again, like you're saying that I'm going to aspiring to do one day, hopefully get through to final stage as well, or even go further. You never know. But like again, at that level, playing in obviously final stage, it's an intense couple of days that as well, obviously, because obviously you've got to play the lead up to it, and then obviously the final stage. So, what's the mentality going into sort of final stage? Is it go lights out and see what happens, or is it a more you plot your way around and hopefully see where you lay?
Well, for me that year, it was kind of slightly different because I didn't automatically qualify, so I was like on a reserve after the first stage for Ilford.
Oh, right, okay.
So I think at the time I was around 30th reserve after that regional stage. So I was kind of like, don't think I'll get in. It's very unlikely.
Yeah.
But I had like a week to go. And I remember sort of checking it each day. It gradually came down. And I think it was around 2 days before the final stage date. I was about eighth reserve, so I thought, I think I'm gonna not get in. Next thing I know, I get a call from the RNA guy saying, "You're in at Hollandwell. Can you play?" I was like, "Well, yeah." That was literally the morning. It was literally the morning before the final stage date, so it was been the official practice round day. So I was living in Lymington at the time in New Forest at Brockenhurst. Mm-hmm. So Hollandwell was like a 3-4 hour drive not to Nottingham.
Wow.
So that morning I was like, okay, yeah, I'll play. It was kind of like a bit of a kind of rush last minute thing. I think I was due to work in the pro shop, so fortunately my boss gave me the day off or 2 days off. And also I remember very kindly, he originally said that he would come with me to final stage if I was to get a spot. So I called him and said I'm in, and he came with me. So we drove up, got there at about, I think, 3:00 in the afternoon. Actually didn't play the practice round, ended up just walking it because of everything. I was just quite tired and just everything was just a bit rushed. So just trying to get my bearings and stuff. And actually probably in a way that I think where I was just so trying to just get things done and focusing on like getting in the practice round, just walking the course, trying to get an idea of where to go. Then I did a little bit of practice in the evening after that, just did some putting and chipping, hit a few balls. Didn't spend overly long because obviously I knew that the final stage day is a long day, playing 36 holes as well. So I was trying to kind of balance the saving the energy but still doing somewhat preparation. And then I think I got to that evening, we had a hotel about 10 minutes away. And to answer your question, I didn't really have any kind of strategy or mindset in terms of like going for it or playing conservative. It was just a case of just going to see what I can do, just kind of play my game and see what happens. But it was such an amazing experience. I know a few of the guys probably would have been to watch it or something. You have around, I don't know, 3,000 or 4,000 people there watching. So it made you feel like a proper like tour player, where you got some crowds around the green, they clap you on your hole outs and stuff, or holding putts. And I remember I played, I think, group behind Robert Rock as well, which was quite cool. And I played really decent. I remember it being kind of really firm and dry, and I shot level, and I think 5 under got in.
Okay.
So I think I finished around 15th or something.
Which is not bad for a last minute call up.
Yeah. So, and that would have happened, about kind of a month or so before Frilford, when I finished second. So I felt like I was starting to really sort of build some confidence, started to play some good golf. I think, but the whole kind of experience of it was just awesome. Absolutely loved it.
No, definitely. Are you in for this year yet, or?
Yes, I've entered for this year. So I've chosen Northants or Ferndown as my regional stage.
Okay.
And my final stage will be either Prince's or Royal Port of Call. I think it was going to be at Burnham and Barrow, but I think they moved it.
Right. Okay. So, well, good luck this year. Fingers crossed.
Thank you.
Let's hope you can go one step further and get into that final, or into the top. Was it 5? No, how many is it? The top to go through from final stage?
It's around 3 or 4 spots.
3 or 4 spots, yeah. So fingers crossed, then you can move up the ladder and get through. That'd be good.
Yeah, that's definitely a goal this year.
Just going to move on to something that me and you have spoken about quite a lot when we've caught up at tournaments and stuff, is about the whole funding your golf career. It's not easy playing these tour tournaments. They're not cheap, as many people don't know. They are quite expensive to actually enter, and like you said, you got all the travel in between, accommodation. It's not just turn up and obviously pay your green fee. It's a lot more than that. So you've got a couple of things that you do to fund your career, and I just want to talk through how they work and how you get the benefit from it, as well as people that are helping you out. So you've got the 100 Club, and you've also got the Tour Pro experience. So just talk me through what you do with those two to generate some funds for you to play golf.
Yeah, so the 100 Club and Tour Pro experience is very kind of closely linked together. And I started it sort of October last year, and it was just really to kind of attack it from a different angle in terms of like raising funds and not just like a typical kind of sponsorship deal with businesses or like a logo on your shirt. I was trying to sort of think outside the box where it would be sort of more of an attractive, valuable thing for people to get involved with, and then also for businesses as well. So the main kind of core of it in the 100 Club is like £100 a year membership where people would pay and join, and they would essentially become part of my team. And when you join, the main sort of area to it is you get to follow kind of the insight into my journey. So when I practice and sort of when I'm at tournaments, I'll be kind of posting updates of what I'm doing, how I'm preparing, how I've reviewed and analysed a tournament. And then linking that to the website, I've then kind of created like an online academy going through sort of each area of the game, breaking it down. So you got like the putting, short game, bunker, swing, fitness, strategy, mindset, all the kind of elements that I would train to sort of improve my game. And I've kind of put it out there in the sense that it's not necessarily me telling the people how to kind of swing the golf club or do it a certain way. It's more the case of this is what I do to keep on top of my game. And then you can sort of use different elements of it to your own personal use. And I think that's where it's kind of unique. It's not, like I say, it's not just a generic kind of, or it's just not your average coaching model. It's more, this is what I do. And then you can kind of take bits and pieces from it to improve your game. And then linking that to kind of the skill tests and performance practices that I do in my game, in my practice. So giving you sort of drills on putting, short game, whatever it is, that you can do in a practice session to kind of track your kind of progress and stats, and then link that to playing on the course. So that's the kind of two main elements to it. And then obviously the 100 Club also becomes like one big community. So you get to meet other people involved. So as I say, I'm doing this at Manning's Heath and also Freshwater Bay on the Isle of Wight. So
okay, that's cool.
It's kind of integrating everyone sort of together in that sense. So they're all keen golfers to improve. They all want to follow my journey, playing on tour. So yeah, that's kind of the main element to it. And then there's different sort of aspects that branch out from that. So the Tour Pro experience element to it is more like where I would run, say, a golf day, which I did back in March at Freshwater Bay. I would run maybe a holiday trip further down the line, a tuition break sort of thing, and then getting into the corporate world, sort of running a company golf day or entertaining a company's clients for the day, taking them to a golf course or taking them to Wentworth for a tour event or something like that. So as I say, it's just trying to sort of think outside the box a little bit and try and add sort of different perceived value to just like a generic sponsor me for a logo on your shirt sort of thing.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's a great idea. And the fact that you, especially with the 100 Club, you're almost giving them that behind the ropes experience without them actually being there. And obviously, and just being in the mindset of a professional golfer, I think is invaluable, really, because how many people get a chance to do that? So no, I think it's really good initiatives. And I think, like you said, to get sponsorship is hard these days. So if you can give them a bit more value, and show that they're going to get something back from it, as opposed to, like you said, just their logo being on the top, that they might get seen on Sky Sports, or they might bump into someone that might be interested in their business. It's just it's potluck in that sense. So no, I think doing those type of initiatives that you're doing is really good.
Yeah, no, thanks, mate. And
Right.
it's just kind of trying to build the momentum of it, and just gain that traction to make people aware of it.
I do. Well, let's hope there's a few people listening to this that can either want to join the 100 Club or might hire you for a Tour Pro experience. I will put the details in the show notes, so if anyone does want to tap in or see what Ryan can do, hit the link and you'll see what he can do for you.
No, that'd be great. Thank you. Look forward to it.
Good stuff. So so what we'll do now is move into the last part of the podcast, whereas I always move into, and I think you're probably the best person to give me the best free tips possible, because you're doing it for your clients now and your sponsors. So obviously I've got the aspiration. You see me now at a couple of Clutch Pro Tour events, trying to hack my way around and compete with you boys as an amateur.
Yeah.
I'm getting there slowly but surely. But if you could give me and other aspiring amateurs or professionals that want to get onto and play professional golf, what would you say are the top 3 things that they need to be doing? And then could you sort of elaborate on each one in more depth as well?
Okay. Just trying to think. Top 3. So number 1, I would say I see this a lot. I think when you get to a tournament, I think you've got to understand that whatever you've got with your game, so whatever that is with your swing, you've got to try and accept and let go that that's what you've got for that week. And don't try and fight trying to perfect it or make a drastic change. So let's just take, for example, I know you go to an event and you're hitting a 10-yard fade, for example. You don't normally hit that, or you're not keen on hitting that, but whatever you do, you can't not hit that shot at that time. I think and I've been down this road before, try to just kind of accept that, okay, you've got to kind of just play with that in a way, and just trust that will still get you round and do a good enough job. I think when you're at an event and you're fighting a shot, or you're trying to overthink something or perfect it, I think that's when you fall down that rabbit hole of causing more problems. And that's something that I've tried to improve, and I feel like I do quite a good job of that now.
Yeah.
So that'd be number 1. Number 2, probably again what I kind of touched on earlier, is sort of focus on your own process and your game. I know it's kind of cliche, but I think just understand that, if you're not, let's say you're not a big hitter, don't try and over sort of swing it in a way that you would try and keep up with other players. So just keep to your game, your strategy. Again, I think that's something that I've worked on myself.
Yep.
That's definitely helped. And number 3, I would say don't forget what you did well at an event, because there's always things that you do well at a tournament, no matter how bad it's gone, no matter the outcome, whether you finish dead last or whatever it is. There'll always be some elements and some things that you've done well at that tournament.
Yep.
And I think it's easy to kind of get bogged down with, obviously you want to know what you need to improve on. And I'm not saying don't think about that, but I think it's easy to kind of get too bogged down on the kind of negatives of I don't know, I 3-putted 5 times, but then you hold 2 20-footers or something like that. I don't know.
Yep.
So it's just trying to be aware of, right, I did this really well, and this is what I need to work on, and separate the two, not just this is what I need to work on, this is what I need to work on. Think about, okay, yeah, I did this well. This was a step forward from, say, last week. So I think that's also a big thing that people don't always think about.
No, definitely. I think they're all three good, and I can relate to all three of them at the moment. So it's really good, especially after the last tournament I played. I actually the second round I fell into the first trap, like you said, the number one. I didn't accept that. I was trying to fight what I was working on, which then obviously turned it into a lot more. A lot worse down the road. I was playing golf swing as opposed to just playing golf because I was more worried about how I was swinging it.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think, and definitely the third one I think is a good one as well. I always, when I come away from a tournament or even a game of golf, like today, for example, I didn't play very well, but I was like, okay, what I did this very well. I did that I scrambled very well, or I got back. I managed to get a par on that hole, even though I didn't hit two great shots. But yeah, I think I'm a big one of taking the little wins after a tournament, after a round of golf, and try and focus on.
And doing that over a period of time, adding that all together will help obviously improve your confidence, to feel like you are making the progress, rather than you always taking a step back from those negatives, sort of thing.
Yeah. I've actually got a little book that I keep in my bag that I write down my best 3 shots of the round.
That's cool.
So that's kind of like a little diary to look back on, which just keeps me going.
Yeah. Awesome, love that.
Good stuff. Well, Ryan, thank you very much for coming on and giving us a little insight into your world and how you progressed from the age of 8 to where you are now playing professional golf. And
thank you. It's been great.
So, like I said, wish you good luck in the this year. Hopefully, you can get a few more starts on clutch, and I'll see you at the next tournament. And and open qualifying as well. I won't see you there, not this year. Next year, I'll be there.
No, brilliant. Cheers, Lloyd. It's been good.